I wanted to be a counselor from an early age. 12, 13, and work with people and work with the hurting. And you see in those environments this revolving door of broken people coming in and going through a treatment model that was designed for them to pass in a certain amount of time, and they would come back 6 months later. There was no real healing, and in those groups you would really sense the hopelessness and the pain. Really got to see just about everything you can see in the counseling world. I heard constantly, somebody would be sitting in my office and they say, Ryan, I really need to get back in church. If I could just get my life right with the Lord. And it was this pervasive theme that I heard. And so I would go on walks. My wife, Melissa, and I were dating at the time, and she'd come over and we'd go on walks and just dream about what would it look like if you could infuse the transformative power of God's love with a program that has best practices and therapeutic techniques that are proven to work. What if we could combine those aspects of love and feeling valued with techniques like relapse prevention strategies and cognitive behavioral therapy and those proven aspects of a clinical program that allows you to walk things out. Ministers Bill and Carol Dew came up to Crossroads Community Church, and I remember sitting in the gym and Bill was speaking about a healing ministry that took off like a rocket ship and just saw miraculous healings. And I remember sitting in that room saying, Lord, I want that. I want that. And I'll never forget, right in the middle of his sentence, in a room full of about 1,000 people, Bill Dew just stops and says, right now, there's 2 young men sitting in this corner of the room, and you just said, I want that. He quoted me verbatim. And he said, will you please come up, and I want to pray for you. And so it was myself and Philip Licht, actually, that came up, and Bill prayed over us that we'd have a healing ministry and it would take off like a rocket ship. So I remember just sitting on the porch and crying out to the Lord, like, what is this? Where do you have me in this? He deposited a dream in my heart. And then for 3 years, I was in a desert, feeling responsible and dreaming about this. And honestly, I would lay awake at 3, 4 in the morning, dreaming about it. What does it look like? But I had no idea where my role was. And he asked me one day, and I won't forget this. The Lord asked me, Ryan, do you want it to be yours, or do you want it to be huge? And obviously you say, oh Lord, I want it to be huge. I want it to be huge. But we don't really understand what that means. What that means is you have this dream in your heart, but you have to be 100% willing to give it up and give it away and make it other people's dreams and not make it about you. But I said in that moment, Lord, if that's what you want, then I need help. I need somebody to come alongside me, because I can't do this alone.
So I kept seeing this need in our community, this incredible need for people struggling with drugs and alcohol, the destruction that it was bringing to families and lives just destroyed and destinies taken from them. When I came to know the Lord, this really was the catalyst for me in finding that place of freedom. And drugs and alcohol were always a part of my life from a young age, elementary school, junior high, into high school and college. And at one point I thought, as a Christian, as a pastor, I would help train and equip people for ministry, and that was kind of what I was called to do. But I always had this heart for people who were hurting and broken, especially people who were struggling with drug and alcohol addiction because of what had happened to me in my younger life. And I had such a heart to get out and help them, but what we were doing inside of the 4 walls of the church, so to speak, wasn't really enough to meet the needs of those people. That was really, for me, a big beginning of the heart of wanting to do something that could make a difference for people in addiction. I am taken into this vision, and I see in this vision an old rustic doorpost over our valley in the sky. And what I see is the hand of the Lord painting blood on this doorpost, and it's as if the Lord asked me this question: can I apply the blood of Jesus to the doorpost of your valley? Now, I knew that that was symbolism coming from a story in the Old Testament in which the Israelites put blood on their doorposts and death literally passed over that household. And in my heart, I just felt this, yes, God, yes, let death pass over, let destruction and all the hurt and the pain, and let life come to these families and these homes in our community. And all of a sudden, it's consuming my thought and my process and what I want to give myself to. So I began to talk about it. I'm preaching about the need for us. Let's get outside of these four walls. Let's get out and start helping the hurting and the broken. And what are we doing to help people gain skills to actually walk a life of freedom, to bring this life so that all these things that are destroying them and burning them down can begin to pass over. This dream that was stirring in his heart and this work that was stirring in my heart were coming together in this place of congruence in this time. God was moving us into something that was going to be very powerful. It was during this time that I was connected with Ryan Ray.
I went to a men's retreat, and Philip Licht was speaking that night and telling his testimony. And so when he got done speaking, it was probably fairly awkward. I mean, I went up and we had known each other, not incredibly well at that point.
And he said, you know, I've got this dream in my heart.
I have this dream in my heart, and I'd like to talk to you about it sometime. So, and I shared this idea.
And something in my heart just leapt, like, yes, this is what we would call a divine connection. And that connection there was really an important catalyst for me and for Set Free.
It was amazing how the Lord had also been orchestrating the path in his life to bring us both together at that same moment. We decided to pursue it.
After Ryan and I started talking, it became evident that God was on the move. And excitement around just this dream of seeing a place where people who are hurting and broken could come and receive God's love and receive practical help and support and tools that would actually sustain them in a walk of freedom.
There may be a plan to all this. There may be some substance to these dreams that I'm having.
My wife came to us and said, look, I really feel like God is saying, like, it's him that's going to accomplish the work that he started in you. And that encouragement to us to keep going. When we first started just trying to get some business cards and our filing, an address and a phone number so we could really give someone a business card and say, we're actually a legitimate place. And we needed about $500. And I took the money out of my account and really needed that money back. And so on one morning, I prayed with a friend of mine. I said, I need this money to be given back to us. And it was that very night we were at a meeting, and a farming couple from our community, Bob and Chris Gray, came up to me afterwards and gave me a check. And they said, we believe in what you're doing, and we want to be the first to sow into this. And it was $500. And just to see over and over the need and the answer and the hand of God and all that we've done, it's absolutely amazing.
My father-in-law, Greg Heath, had found an article in Charisma magazine about Darren and Tanja Miles and Set Free Indeed in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And they had started a faith-based treatment program. And we went down to Baton Rouge. One of the things that we had really found in Set Free Indeed is that they really were able to build this sense of community and vibrancy, the sense of value for people and the community that they were able to create. And so Philip and I spent hours and hours just dreaming about what would it look like? How can we incorporate these aspects of treatment? So we decided to use this mind, body, spirit approach to recovery.
It was electric. And being able to sit down and dream and partner and start putting together like our vision, what was it going to be, and the mission, what were we going to do, and some of the core values. It was a very exciting time for me, especially in a season of my life that I was not very satisfied with what I was doing. We started to connect and just ask this question: what do we want to create? What's the vision that is really there? How are we going to word it in a way that other people are going to want to attach to it? And who are those people going to be? And that, I think, was one of the first real big milestones for us, is inviting the champions and the people who are going to believe in us and believe in the vision And Tom and Sandra were the first names that came to our mind, as these are people that we know that have some wisdom, that have some experience, and that carry that same passion for people and love for the Lord and wanting to help people who are hurting and broken. And so Ryan and I's time to say, let's bring on some of these champions, let's invite them in, that was so important for us.
I grew up in the bush part of Alaska, a small town on the Yukon River, where we could see that people needed help, that people were broken. And I was doing a lot of counseling. And I would cry out to the Lord and I would say, Lord, you came to set us all free. There's gotta be a way, Lord. There's gotta be a way to reach broken people. One day I was at Fred Meyer grocery store, and along comes Ryan and Melissa Ray, and Ryan starts pouring out his heart to me about his vision for a faith-based addiction recovery program.
Because I just needed somebody to share this with, and she had always been a champion of me and my life. But Sandra would give me a hug and just tell me she loves me and believes in me.
And it just caught my heart because I had this spiritual piece, but I needed licensed, skilled counselors. I needed a plan to plug in with. And so I was so excited to hear about this. Finally, there was a plan to go forward with helping the hurting and the broken and the addicted.
Being addicted to drugs, you lose everything, and it's second nature to champion a move of God that includes Ryan and Philip, to see their dream, what he put in them, realized.
Got Ryan and Sandra and Tom and I, and now we're starting to get together and we're starting to dream a dream. What's this gonna look like? And what are really not just the direction we're going, what's the vision and how are we gonna get there and what's the mission gonna look like and be worded, but now we're starting to talk about the culture. What are the core values that we're gonna carry and the things that we want to be consistent through Set Free Alaska 20 years from now, 30 years from now, and the things that are gonna create the seed bed, if you will, for all of the good things we wanna see happen to grow and flourish in. And so those meetings and those conversations were so fun because you could see the heart of all the different members coming out in their experiences in their lives, all coalescing to this beautiful picture of who we're becoming, of what we're getting ready to step into.
I remember Philip saying, what is our core values? What are some of the really important things? What do we want to have as our very essence? And the first thing I said is that each person be treated with dignity and respect and love.
Value to the individuals, not just the clients, but the staff. You know, if we wanted to be all about God's love and showing love to people and making sure that they felt valued, we had to do that for our staff first.
You see, we believe that if people could just know how loved they are, that they could know how valued they are, that they would begin to have hope for their future and their destiny.
He has a heart for the hurting and the broken.
It's a mainstay that people feel loved, they feel valued. Those who are deceived need more than help, they need love. But that's that champion in me.
The difference that sets us apart is God's love and his unfailing passion for the lost and the transformative power that people feel when you experience God's love, because it really does give you a sense of value and purpose and destiny.
That's powerful. That's the power of Set Free Alaska.
If you're gonna represent Christ, you better do it with excellence and integrity. That may be the only opportunity that somebody gets to know who Jesus is. Our excellence is our testimony, that it's the difference in our program.
We wanted to be a place that valued excellence. People can come and they can receive the love of God and they can receive this life that you're talking about, but also they can receive practical skills and tools that they can walk out this journey of freedom. And everything is done with such a quality that they would be able to say, wow, there is something about that place that is different. Being a servant and a blessing to our community is one of the things that was built into the foundation of who we are.
Our desire to partner with the community really creates a platform for collaboration, one that is unique.
Integrity is such a key part of what we do at Set Free Alaska, and it has a lot to do internally as well as externally. The partnerships that we have with our state, with the funders, the foundation, with our donors, and with all of those clients who are receiving our service is built on the element of the foundation of trust. All of our core values lead into this idea of wanting to bring God glory in all that we do.
I would say this, as incredibly gifted as they are, we all still give all the glory to God.
What if there are no limits to what he wants to do? What if there are no limits for where he wants to go and what he's willing to do to reach the lost? And we have the opportunity, not just as an organization, but as a community, to partner with the Lord to reach the lost. And that is something special, I believe, about Set Free Alaska, is that throughout this entire mission, it's not been about us. It has been about God fulfilling this mission for his good pleasure.
Lord, when you came to earth, the first place you preached at, the first place you stood up in a synagogue and you said you had come to heal the brokenhearted and set the captives free. I love the overwhelming love of God. I love the way the Lord pursues us. I love the way the Lord has a plan and a purpose. And that Set Free Alaska actually was planned before the foundation of the world as part of God's plan. And I love the way he wove together all the different pieces to get it started. It's God. That's what makes the difference. That's why this is so successful.
I cry a lot when I think about Set Free Alaska and the opportunity to be able to be a part of it. How did you use me? Thank you for choosing me just to be a part of this and to be a part of so many people's destiny. One day I'll get to be in heaven and I'll get to meet them and we'll praise the Lord together. And that's why I run. That's why I do what I do. That's why Set Free Alaska does what it does. That's the core of why we drive forward. It's the love for the clients and it's the love for our staff, because they're amazing world changers. And we as a board believe in them wholeheartedly. And it's amazing to see what they've been able to accomplish. So there's times, when I sit in the fundraiser and somebody shares their testimony, and it's incredibly special. Then when you hear somebody on stage being vulnerable and sharing how they were on the verge of death and had lost their children and lost their job and lost their will to live, and they come to this program called Set Free Alaska, and they feel love for the first time in their life. And then they talk about this idea that we had on one of those walks. And it's so special to me to know. And honestly, until this point, nobody knows. Nobody has known that stuff. Those have always been special moments between my wife and I and the Lord and us. Where can we take this? What's next? What if we're still in this foundational phase